fishing here on the Columbia River and a lot of the West Coast. And my name's Shane Magnuson. I run Upper Columbia Guide Service and Northwest Bait and Scent. I also do work for Yakima Bait Company. And you guys have sent me a bunch of questions over the winter time that I've been saving up and putting in a tub. And I've been wanting to pull those out one by one and answer them live right here on my Shane Magnuson page. So the one we pulled for today was what is the best trolling techniques for spring Chinook? And I'm going to go over three techniques. We're going to go over fish flash and herring and Yakima bait cut plugs. We're going to go over 360 flashers and prawn spinners, and we're going to go over flatlining some plugs, some mag lips. So spend a little time with us, and we'll go through these riggings real quick. The first one, the old fish flash and herring. Now this is a pretty simple rig. You got your weight slide up here, and this is just a slide that comes down and sits right on your swivel. You got 65-pound braid. Off that slide, you got a nice chain swivel right here. And then on that chain swivel, I've got 15 inches of bumper leader that's connected to my Yakima bait fish flash. Now, the key on this part of it is matching up your dropper leader for your lead. When you're fishing these spring Chinook on the lower Columbia and you're bouncing bottom a lot, you want to make sure that that lead can tap bottom and your gear stays right above it fishing, because those fish get right down in the dirt. So I've got a bumper leader that hits right here at the top of the flasher. So I've got a 15-inch bumper, and I've got about an 18 to 20-inch dropper, and that way that can hit and it can flex and bounce the bottom, and you can literally drag that right across the bottom and keep that fish flash and that bait right up in the strike zone. Below that, I like to run 36 to 42 inches of 25-pound leader, and on here we've got a 2/0, 3/0 hook setup, and that's going to put my cut plug herring on. So it's a really simple rig. You're going to brine your cut plug herring, put on those two hooks, find your lead, typically 4 to 6 ounces. Deeper water scenarios, maybe 8 ounces, and work the bottom with it on a nice, easy downhill troll. The other thing we like to throw behind that fish flash is the Yakima bait cut plugs. And this is one of the 2/0 sizes. Well, here's a 3/0, and that's shaped like a cut plug herring. It's going to have that nice tight spin, and then here's one of the little 2/0s that fish really well. The 2-hook setup behind that fish flash also. Now in here you can chop up some bait, and you can put it inside that cut plug. It's going to disperse that smell, and you can have some different colors. So both work really well behind that fish flash. Now, moving on to 360 techniques, one of the most prominent is using prawn spinners, and so it's a little different. We on here, it depends on where you're at. Now, if I were to go and fish the Multnomah Channel or down the Willamette, I may consider running a dropper leader for my lead, just so that if I did tap bottom once in a while, I'm not getting different snags and different things. Up here in the gorge, Wind and Drano and different places, we tend to run these with no dropper, where it's just lead ball straight to the snap, to your bumper leader. So in here I got 65-pound braid. I've got my same weight slide. These are those, let's see if I have them over here. Oh, my tools. I don't. But these slides are made by B&R Tackle, and they're made to sit right on top of that swivel. A good set of swivels. And then for my bumper leader, I tie 80 pound. 80 pound is real nice to still be able to tie, but be stiff for that flasher to work. And then I like an 18 to 24-inch bumper. Now, if you stick with a little shorter bumper, like an 18 to 22, you're going to get a little more snap out of that flasher at a slower trolling speed. On here, I have my 11-inch flasher. This is just green and chrome Pro Troll. It's one of the most usable ones up here that these fish like. And then below that, I have my prawn spinner leader. Oh, I'll set that right there. And on that prawn spinner leader, we're going to have 30 to 32-inch, 30-pound leader is usually what we run on there. On here, I have a few beads. These are just some chartreuse beads with a little gold bead in the middle to break it up. And then I have a little interchangeable metal spiral clevis. And we'll throw a blade on there. Let's see here. So probably my favorite blades, the Hildebrandt 3.5 blades work really, really well. Open that up. And that chartreuse gold blue dot's always a good one. Of course, there's many colors. And we're going to pop that blade right onto that clevis, just like that. And that's going to be your prawn spinner. From there, you're going to put your coon shrimp on, your shrimp that you have all centered up in your Northwest Bait and Scent. So that's your prawn spinner rig. This works really good in the Willamette. This works really good at Wind and Drano, and a pretty simple setup. Also, what we troll up here is the same cut plugs on the same rig. So we're running the same bumper lengths, the same flashers, and then we run these Yakima bait cut plugs behind that flasher. Now uh, we got to shorten the leaders down from running behind the fish flash. When you're trolling downhill with the fish flash in the lower Columbia, you tend to want to run a longer leader, 36 to 42 inches. Allows those fish to see the flasher and catch up to the bait and snap at it. Where trolling the 360, you're trying to get action out of that flasher on the lure. And so we shorten it down to the same length we're running the prawn spinners at 30 to 32 inches. That way that lure will snap behind that flasher really well and create that bite. And again, you can stuff that with all your bait. Now, the third technique, it's one of the easier ones to do, is pulling mag lips. And pulling mag lips has been around for years, and we've always done it different colors. And it's really simple. You use a good plug rod. What we got back here? We got I think all my plug rods are out on the boat, but I typically like, oh, here's one right here. I was using this as an egg rod last, but this is one of my plug rods. This is a HSR 821, and that's rated 10 to 20 pound. And that's one of my favorite plug rods. It's an 8-foot rod. It's going to have a nice fast tip on it. It's going to allow that mag lip to work, but also when you get a bite, hook them up real good. And then on there, we run 30-pound braid. We run the P-line Endurix 30-pound braid, and then you run 25-pound to 30-pound mono bumper leader. And you can run a couple feet of that bumper leader. And then you got your mag lips. Now, 3.5s to 4.5s are probably my three favorite sizes of mag lips. This is one of my 4.0 boxes. But this is one of my favorite colors here. This is a 4.0 Mad Clown. On the bottom of this mag lip, we like to take a little bit of bait and wrap on the bottom of this with some thread wrap. I don't have any thread wrap over there, but that's okay. And the key to wrapping these is more's not always better. So a little bit of bait just in front of the front eye, and then back behind that front eye, just on the bottom, a little square, just so you have some good smell coming off that plug. and but you're not taking away from the action of the plug. If you start putting too much bait on the bottom of these plugs, it adds a lot of weight to it, and they don't have near the action. So a little bit of bait wrapped on the bottom goes a long ways, and then keep it changed out. Every 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Keep that good scent trail, and then flatline these mag lips behind the boat. They're going to dive 15 to 20 feet, typically depending on how fast you're trolling, where you're at, and let them go, let them hunt. Those will fish really well. So, and of course, oh, this is always a good one. Cowgirl. That's a great one at the Wind River. You guys know that one if you fish the Wind River a lot. Of course, that one's been used a lot. The old Double Trouble, also a great color. But the 4.0, the 3.5, 4.0, and 4.5 sizes are my best maglip sizes for pulling Spring Chinook. So those are my three favorite techniques for trolling Spring Chinook in the Columbia River system and its tributaries. If you guys have more questions, feel free to ask them. Keep me going. I'm going to do one of these every Tuesday. Please like and subscribe to the page, and look forward to seeing you all out on the water. Thank you much.